Gassets, and welcome back to the Rovers Report, where in today's video, me and Tom will be previewing tomorrow's massive fixture against Forest Green. Hope you enjoy the video. Be sure to like and subscribe and leave your comments down in the section below. Hope to be doing a reaction video after the game on Saturday, so fingers crossed I'll be doing it with 3 points. See you then and enjoy the video. Gassets, and welcome back to the Rovers Report, where you join us on the eve of our fixture against Forest Green at home. It's going to be a massive game with another sellout attendance, and we're joined by Tom today. How you doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. I've been on holiday last few days, so been sunny up in Sardinia and feeling nice and relaxed for what should be a really interesting game tomorrow against FGR.
Yeah, that's lovely, mate. And I know you watched the game over in Sardinia, the Port Vale game, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I honestly was slightly pessimistic going to the game despite our really good form. Port Vale had won the previous 6 games on the trot, so it was always going to be a really tough game. And then going 1 down after 2 minutes, it looked offside. I think on EFL Quest they proved it to be onside, but from the Sky replay, it definitely looked like he was half a yard offside. But yeah, that wasn't great, and I just felt. I still felt fairly confident, but I was just slightly, pessimistic because Port Vale obviously had done very well. But what a performance to come back like that, and especially we didn't have the greatest referee in the world in that game either. So it was, fantastic to bring that back and to win away at Vale, and it really sets up a great encounter tomorrow against FGR, top of the league.
Yeah, it should be exciting, actually, mate. I think I was obviously at the game, and I'd put that up there for me with one of the top away days, up there with your Wickham away, do you remember the David Clarkson goal?
Yeah.
I think the scenes for that Ryan Loft goal, it was one of relief and also just pure happiness. And yeah, there's a lot of gas heads hugging each other, which I thought it was just lovely to see. And when you contrast it to how we were last season and even the beginning of this season, I think we've just got used to having such a miserable team, and it's just nice to be backing a team that has so much passion and makes you believe in us, don't you? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. There's a formidability about it, and I think that stems from Coots. I think he was. I know I've raved on about Coots a bit before, but you saw him, obviously set up the first goal, great finish by the Geordie Maradona, but it was a great ball to him and interception by Coots as well. But I think what set Coots apart was obviously the leadership role that he played against Vale. You saw the referee was having a bit of a clangor, and Coots was not giving him an earful, but he was just, in close proximity. Yeah, letting him know, because you need somebody like that. You can't let a referee who's having a very poor game take advantage of you as a team, and you need your leaders to stand up. I thought it was fantastic. Not just in terms of that part of the leadership, but the way he played and conducted himself. And it was a great ball through to Anston for that goal as well. I think in the second half we were obviously under the cosh a little bit. Vale threatened. They had that 1-on-1 which they missed. That was Belly did well to sort of. What was that? It was the foul.
In my opinion, yeah. Well, I mean, you look at it. I know he's already taken the shot, but he did clean him out. So I did. Yeah, it's one of those in that regard.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those where the ball's gone already. It's always quite hard to call those. But I think we were lucky because it was quite. I think he was obviously in the middle of the goal. I think as a midfielder running onto the ball, you'd probably try and prefer to have the ball wide, hit it across the keeper, rather than being in the middle. But yeah, that was probably the only clear-cut chance they had from what I remember. We defended quite well, and
it was a professional performance from our team, I thought.
It was, yeah.
It's one of those where in years gone by, we lose that. You go 1-0 down, very easily the heads could have dropped. But I think it's testament to the character within the squad is they pick themselves off the canvas, as Joey likes to say. And we deserved that win. Don't get me wrong, there was scary moments, but that's the sign of a good team. Is a team like Port Vale will always have a 20-minute period where they're going to be threatening your goal. We weathered the storm, and when we needed to get that decisive goal to finish the game off, we did it. And it was good. It was Nick Anderson's header. he won that great header. Finley showed composure to slip in Loft, and it was just lovely to see Loft put it away in front of the travelling.
It was a great finish. It's all, as I said before, if you're a striker or midfielder running on goal like that, you actually want to take it to the side slightly so you can dink it over the keeper and create that angle. So it was a very composed finish, and absolute bedlam in the away end.
It's fun though, because I did say on my initial reaction video, I don't know if other gas heads felt it in the stands. I don't know what you thought when you were watching it, but my initial thought when he took his first touch was he's fluffed it a little bit, like it was a bit of a heavy touch, but it actually it worked out for him, didn't it? It meant the keeper sort of came out thinking I can get to that, and he just dinks it over.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and it was sort of symptomatic of the the very good counter-attacking play that we showed throughout the game. I think the first goal was a little bit of a counter in terms of Coots intercepting it. Good run by Anderson, great finish. Obviously, the second one was more from a set piece, and then the final goal, was great little counter attack to finish the game off. So I think it's very nice to see a Rovers team that is very good at playing. So sort of a team of masters of the dark arts, as people like to say, because you could see that Vale were a little bit like that. And you can either let them get away with it or sort of become a team that's sort of hard to beat in that way yourself. So and that doesn't mean becoming like Wickham, for example, which I have to admit a horrible football club.
So become like Wickham.
No, it wouldn't. It's a team that is hard to beat in terms of. I wouldn't even say master of the dark arts. I'd say it was more of a formidability in terms of structure. That's quite clear in this team. So it was a fantastic result. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the perfect word for it. Being streetwise, and that's from barely the defence onwards.
So talking of one horrible club, Wycombe Wanderers, to another horrible club. How are you feeling about Forest Green tomorrow? Because we spoke about their form prior to the video, and they've got. Is it exactly the same as us? Is it 5 wins out of 6?
Last 6 games, they've picked up 13 points. 13 points from the last 6 games.
Yeah, they obviously had that drop off, didn't they? Where people thought they might fluff up the title, but it seems like they're right back into their sort of the form that put them where they are in the league. So I mean, for me personally, similar to how I felt against Port Vale and Salford, is I don't necessarily fear anyone, but I think these obviously deserve respect. So I think for me, in front of the Mem, we should be looking to win it, but I don't think it's necessarily a foregone conclusion.
No, definitely not. It's going to be a tough game, even without Matty Stevens up front, who I think he tore his ACL recently. They still have Jamil Matt, as you pointed out before the video. He scored 18 goals this season. They do seem overly reliant on him, but he's proved himself at League Two over the last sort of 5 or 6 seasons. He's a very tricky customer, but I think we have the best defence in the league, or definitely since the turn of the year. So it's going to be a good matchup against Matt, and they got Cadden on the wing, who's a good player, also scored a few goals. Although, as you rightly pointed out before we went live, he's only scored 6 in comparison to Matt's 18. Stevens scored 23. So they do seem overly reliant on their strike force, which is slightly hampered at the moment. It's going to be an interesting one because I would favour us at the Mem. But then again, Salford last week wasn't easy. It's never going to be an easy game in this league, and especially against a team that are, probably rightly going to be champions. So it's going to be a tricky test, but I think we should be favourites for it, and it should be a really good game. I think we've sold out the Mem as well.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I think those are all really good points, and just something for me which I saw, which is kind of interesting. I think is they, apart from that Barrow game where obviously they've had a catastrophe and conceded 4, they don't tend to concede many. And I know, if you look back on it, Rovers, we won the Port Vale game 3-1. I still am not convinced by our attack that it's as clinical as it needs to be to get us up. But then again, I sort of think when you've got a player like Elliot Anderson, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? We do have those moments of brilliance, but I think I'm just a bit scared that maybe in those moments when you want that clinical finisher who will just poach a goal, put it in the net, which Collins can be, but he's not currently in that sort of form. I think
he's not firing all cylinders at the moment.
No, exactly. But then again, I mean, if you look at our last couple of games, we've scored 4 in 2, so it's not exactly panic stations. But do you see where I'm coming from in terms of we don't have that natural striker at the minute?
Yeah, and that's exactly, if it's 0-0 in the 90th minute, that's the sort of player you want on your team to create that little chance and score. I think Collins will be really up for it tomorrow, considering it's against his former employer. But yeah, I agree. I think it's been we've been lucky to have so many different goal scorers this season. I think after Connolly scored, they announced on the radio how many outfield players scored for us this season. It was quite numerous. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but we've been lucky that players have chipped in. In the first half of the season, Nicholson scored a few goals, and Elliot Anderson scored a hatful. Rhino scored quite a few. Obviously Collins, I think he's our top scorer with 12. 13. So we have been lucky and blessed to have players who, and obviously I can't forget Finley as well in that. So I think it's a tough one. I guess now that Clark is injured, we will start with Collins. It would have been interesting to see how Clark. I think for the game, he was probably going to start. Joey was probably going to start top. With Clark injured, it's going to be Collins until the end of the season.
Yeah.
What perfect time for him to hit another little purple patch in the last 3 games or so.
Yeah.
It's the weird one, but as you said, I think we're blessed to have players in midfield who you can score from any angle as well, especially Elliot Anderson.
Yeah, I think, and in terms of team selection for this weekend, I think it's not. I mean, I think it is kind of clear cut in certain positions, but from the Port Vale game, what I took away was I think Josh Grant was quite rusty. To me, he looked like he was getting it slow. He looked quite clunky, but Barton seems to trust him. I think he'll stick with Grant. I wouldn't be surprised if he brought in Anderson, but I think the fact that Grant offers a bit going forwards, he can slip into midfield. And then the other ones for me would be, I don't think Loftus will start. People might say, well, he scored in. That would go against everything that Barton's been trying to work with this team. And then I guess the only other one would be maybe, do you bring Nico back in for Evans or something? But I think that team will remain unchanged. The only possible one for me, which I would consider, don't think Barton will, is Anderton for Grant. So do you think it would change, or do you think he'll just keep the team that played against Vale?
Sorry, mate, you just cut out there. But I agree. I agree with I'd be indifferent between Anderton and Grant, just because I think Anderton. It's not like Grant is a bad defender. I think he's a good defender, and as you said, he brings a lot going forward. He's very versatile. He can slip into midfield, and also he could probably play right back if we wanted him to. But I think Anderton's just a very solid, dependable defender. So I'd be indifferent between the two, because Anderton, I think, was first choice in that 6-week Saturday, Tuesday block.
Yeah, he was.
When we won most games. So I'd be completely indifferent between Anderton or Grant. I agree, Grant did look a little bit rusty on Monday rather, especially in the second half. And I think that's why we brought Anderton on and put Grant in midfield. Yeah. So I think that's one change that could happen. I think the rest of the team is pretty much certainty to stick with what was the team on Monday. I can't really think of any changes that would be needed. Like maybe I'd say Nico could probably come in, but then again, I think the Andersons on the wings and Collins up front is definitely good enough. And as I said, I think Collins is going to be really up for this one tomorrow. So yeah, hopefully bags of brace or hat trick.
Yeah, I think that'll be a popular bet for many guests, won't it? But I think maybe the thing with Anderson is he's a better option off the bench as opposed to Grant, isn't he? Whereas he comes on and he's sort of, if you're defending set pieces and stuff, he's the man.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess that's perfect, mate. We'll wrap it up. As always, if I take a prediction for you for the game, once again, we still haven't got any of the games right, so you've only got 3 to go, mate, so give it to me.
I'm gonna say 2-1 Rovers, Bristol Rovers. That is.
Yeah, clarify it. 2-1 Bristol Rovers. Presume you're going to go for a Collins goal.
I think, Collins and Elliot Anderson.
You know what, mate? I might actually go for the exact same for that. I think Anderson scores again, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Give him half a yard on the edge of the area and see how that goal against Salford was a bit like the Mbappe trick. You know, when Mbappe shifts the defender inside, the defender opens up their legs and he shoots through it. It's in near post. The keeper obviously is flat-footed. I just think you can honestly score from anywhere on the edge of the box.
100%, mate. Well, thanks very much for coming on, Tom. And will you be at the game on Saturday?
I will be, mate. Yes.
Perfect. So we might get a live reaction from you then.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Lovely stuff.
Thanks,
mate.